am I? Where do I come from? Where am I going? Why am I here? These are questions that human beings throughout the ages have tried to answer. The universal wisdom has always been there, not to give a theoretical answer, but to show the way to find this deep knowledge that we all possess hidden within ourselves. A famous Hermetic phrase indicates that the lips of wisdom are closed except to the ears of understanding, and only those who have reached a maturity of experience and are now sincerely searching for the truth, with a capital T, will have opened their ears of understanding and their spiritual eyes to the light. So, when the ears of the student are ready to hear, then come the lips to fill them with wisdom. What is this wisdom we are talking about? In the Golden Rosy Cross, we hear that the truth does not merely come to us by means of words, concepts, and books. No, truth is an astral energy, concentrated by people and made available to those who are open to receive it. There is the story of the alchemical wedding, where Christian Rosy Cross arrives on the 4th day in a garden with a fountain in its center. It is the fount of living water that is directly associated with the living spirit. Christian Rosy Cross sees a lion standing near this fountain, carrying a large engraved plate with the text, "After so much harm has been inflicted upon the human race, I, Hermes, being the primordial fount, flow forth here as a healing remedy, according to divine decree and assisted by the art." The text continues, "Let him who can drink of me. Let him who will cleanse himself in me. Let him who dares stir me. Drink, brothers, and live." Here we are introduced to a process of transformation of consciousness, a self-initiation which starts by first finding the inner source. The kingdom of God is within you, as the fountain in the desert of life. Turning inwardly and drinking from this fountain, hidden in our deepest core, connects us with the living water of universal truth and starts the process of regeneration of the original human being. A process of soul rebirth is initiated. The wisdom of the heart starts to permeate and illuminate the head, and then the whole human being. The inner source, which is mentioned in all the universal teachings throughout ages, is what we call in the Golden Rosy Cross the spirit spark, or the rose of the heart. It is known in other spiritual traditions as Atman, Aum, the lotus, or the pearl. It speaks to us always, a continuous call with a voice of the silence.
The universal wisdom, Aquarius. Cosmologists claim that theirs is the most audacious branch of science. through concerning themselves with the documenting and computing of the phenomenological aspects of the cosmos, reliance on this method has them grappling with the composition of the Milky Way, our home galaxy of 400 billion stars, whose origins have been determined to have once been compressed into a region vanishingly small. The current scientific interpretation for the entire visible congregation of billions of galaxies declares that they once occupied a subatomic-sized patch of space, which has the cosmologists admitting that it sounds like insanity. Such is the vast enigma of the cosmos humankind has sought to understand throughout the ages. The Aquarius Constellation is the 11th sign of the zodiac and is the oldest documented of all the constellations. It is located in what is known as the water section of the sky, with others like Cetus the whale, Pisces the fish, and Eridanus the river. An astrological explanation for the zigzag lines forming the basic Aquarius symbol is that it represents two vibrations, that of the earthly phenomenological domain, or our world of dualistic experience, ruled as it is by the constant reconciliation of opposites. For human life experience, this is known as samsara in the Vedic tradition. The second vibration is that of the eternal, or the nirvanic. In the age of Aquarius, these two vibrations are coming into closer connection. The other Aquarian symbol that shows a young man pouring out water from two vessels represents this coming interconnection between the two realms. The floods of water also foretell that an end will be brought to the previous era of Pisces. The astral and etheric influences of the Piscean age called humanity to build an individuality around the central impulse of a spiritual consciousness, the Christ force within. Yet this development often crystallized into devotion, giving personal power away, not to the inner source of the universal wisdom, but to external authority, to one guru or another, a movie star, or a religious or political system. The Piscean age became mostly characterized as being one for daydreamers, people of artistic persuasion, but also of addiction or delusion. Pisces was therefore a time of idealism, when people were ruled by strongly held beliefs of all different kinds, rather than the certainty of true faith in the renewed soul, Jesus, connected with the development of true reason under the guidance of the Spirit, Christ. With no tolerance for accepting the beliefs of others, it was oppositional, as others were then seen as morally bad, and therefore the outcome was to fight over beliefs. The esoteric keynote for Pisces became I believe. By contrast, the age of Aquarius, in which humanity has now entered, represents a renewed possibility for humanity to connect itself with the direct impulse of the Spirit. The symbolic water being poured out over the world can be experienced as people sharing with others their wisdom, joy and passion, their gifts and knowledge, and also the true initiation that follows love and wisdom. Through worldwide connections, intentional group formation, sustainable groups, through the medium of electricity, there is the opportunity for connectedness, developing group consciousness. Aquarius, being an air sign, is about mental quickness. Therefore, interdimensional or higher mind connections are thought to be the skills for expanding the consciousness within the human higher mind. The new guidance must be found within, as there are no longer outside authorities to bow down to, and so we are called to learn from the world, where each one can discover their own path by the puzzle pieces falling together through our own insight. Revelations, knowing and learning will occur deep within the heart and soul. Therefore, the Aquarian esoteric keynote is I know, the purified intuition of the spirit, soul, human being. However, all these influences are not guaranteed to us automatically and need some true guidance to bring them to a proper spiritual development. One of the founders of the School of the Golden Rosy Cross, Jan van Reichenborg, in his works on the Egyptian arch-gnosis, explains that the spirit spark atom is life, ignited by the Spirit of God. The monad is therefore a concentration of life around that, and so whatever the individual situation, the body of birth in nature is always the Spirit of God that has re-entered another earthly incarnation, because behind all the boundless activity in the microcosm stands the spirit of eternity within the microcosm, to which it can be reunited by undergoing a process of regeneration of soul consciousness. Present-day mankind is transiting out of an astronomical period in which the solidification of bodies has reached its nadir from a spiritual perspective. Our microcosmic sphere nucleus contains the spirit within, the spirit spark atom. Through the vivifying activity of this radiation, an amalgamation of atoms is manifested, the body, which is constantly maintained by that radiation. The nucleus on one hand and the body on the other remain together, and they are linked by the ensouling essence. In this way, the spirit and the body may coexist. There comes a time, however, when the radiation of its nucleus is no longer capable of making itself sufficiently felt in the system. At this point, the person, as an image bearer, needs to be willing to cooperate with the spiritual radiation from within, which is now being ever more strongly stimulated in these times as the earth enters the cycle of Aquarius. To enter today the path of inner initiation that exists also as a revealed philosophy, the Golden Rosy Cross presents this process and wishes to show that to its pupils and members. There is also the universal community of the light that is connected to this work, the servants, the helpers of the gnosis. For this is a group of people who together call upon the light and use that light in their life for the purpose of the new soul.
If we cast our inner vision towards human history, we will recognize that throughout the ages, mankind has been called to find the true purpose of life. Innumerable spiritual impulses have emanated from the eternal all, manifesting through great initiates, spiritual leaders, communities that professed the fundamental necessity to shift the human consciousness beyond the struggle for survival, beyond the imposition of the tribe on other tribes, the nation on other nations, and most of all, beyond our own personal striving to affirm ourselves in this world of illusion referred to as samsara. A great call has accompanied us, adapting to the times, the specific cultures, but whose pillars were always standing on the firm ground of the spirit. In this critical moment in which we find ourselves today, again being drawn towards seeking for what is the essential in life, so as to unveil the great mystery in our life and let it fully manifest within ourselves. However, this call to humankind cannot and will not compete with the ever-increasing noise of everyday life of the outer world, with its myriad of external impulses, the endless news cycle, the thousands of events, crises, occurrences, only concerning ourselves daily with the resulting exhaustion, all the material, emotional, and intellectual striving cannot lend any insight to fathom the nature of this call. Simply because this call resounds above and beyond all this vexation, as its fundamental stirring of the heart that cannot be perceived through our sensorial capacity. To connect to this impulse, this call, sent out from the all, which is responded to with what lies at the deepest depths of our being, we need to follow the same path that innumerable souls have walked before us. The vibration of this call is on a far different level to our daily consciousness, and so can only be heard when we are ready to undergo the process of a new awareness, a new mentality, a paradigm shift in our consciousness. This is the great revolution that all initiation schools throughout the ages have pointed to. In the era in which we live now, Aquarius, we are now being called to assume self-authority, to take up the golden thread into our own hands, and then carry out the great task of being born again through water and fire, soul and spirit. Can you too hear this call rising within your being? More importantly, will you follow its prompting and thereby realize the purpose contained within its message?